You are looking at a man with many lives and endless energy. Since childhood, John has shown a strong commitment to his many endeavors, from his love of fishing to coaching potential Olympic athletes and hoping to run the family farm profitably, along with coaching a collegiate wrestling team. All the while, he finds time to help the community in worthwhile philanthropic projects. As a child growing up in the 1,000-acre Foxcatcher farm in Newtown Square, he developed his athletic prowess and interest in the great outdoors. John has graciously allowed our cameras into his home for an up-close and personal look at the DuPont estate. John lives in a comfortable modern ranch house on the farm, but home is where the heart is. This is his mother's manor home. It was built to resemble Thomas Jefferson's Monticello. It's here where John DuPont grew up.
Hi, my name is John DuPont. Welcome to Foxcatcher Farms. This room is the main trophy room where a lot of our sports trophies are housed for beagles, wrestling, horses, ponies, swimming, modern pentathlon, and the entire sports history of the DuPont family that was started by my mother and my father back in 1910. Mother is now going to be 90 years old in June. She still competes. Her original ribbons are here in this room someplace. There are some 32,000 awards that have been won here at the farm.
It's down on the farm that John takes part in running the family business, Golden Guernsey cows, which produce milk and cream.
Lister Farms has many aspects: Welsh ponies, Guernsey cows, thoroughbred horses. We're now at the dairy office, where the cows are milked and the milk trucked to various wholesale distributors.
The Golden Guernseys have historically been a source of pride and profit on the DuPont farm. The cow office, which serves as John's office, is filled with memorabilia commemorating the excellence and tradition of the farm's livestock. The cows graze on the farm's rolling hills near the old barns and spring houses that date back to the 1750s. Tucked away in a corner of the 1,000-acre estate is John's very own fishing hole, a retreat he has enjoyed since childhood. It's his favorite place to relax after a hard day.
It's just the idea that you're out there alone with no telephones, no one bothering you. You can relax for a few moments and hopefully catch a fish and have some fun to go along with it. Fishing has been a lifelong hobby of mine ever since I was a kid growing up on the farm. Hoop, got a fish. Up, got away. I had the opportunity to fish as a kid. I just followed through with it. I'm not the best fisherman in the world, but I have a lot more fun than a lot of my other fishing friends in this world who think they're supposedly experts. Sometimes the fish cooperate, sometimes they don't.
John keeps a sense of humor about it all, though. He tells the secret of his technique and shares a little of his personal fishing philosophy.
These fish are cooperating today mainly because the weather is changing. My technique for catching fish is very simple. I take my athletic tenacity, apply it against the fish, and make it fierce competition. Except there's one catch to it. I win, they lose.
Being a winner, striving for perfection. That's the John DuPont way. As a young athlete touring Europe, he rediscovered the pentathlon, an old military sport. The pentathlon is made up of 5 events: horseback riding, fencing, pistol shooting, and running. John chose this sport to pursue in his own personal quest for excellence. Because of the decreasing popularity in fencing and pistol shooting, the sport took on a more popular form in 3 events: biking, swimming, and riding. John introduced the triathlon to this country in 1966. Hence, he is called the father of the triathlon. A bright prospect for the U.S. Olympic team in the 1960s, John was prevented from competing because of an injury. In 1966, he held the first U.S. championship at Foxcatcher Farm. Last year, 3,500 competed in the 1986 U.S. Championships in Hilton Head, South Carolina. On most afternoons and weekends, John DuPont hosts dozens of young athletes who show Olympic promise at his Foxcatcher Farm training arena. His deep commitment to nurturing athletic ability and leadership qualities in young people is second to none. Members of Team Foxcatcher have become the finest male and female swimmers in the United States, competing nationally and internationally. Off of the 50-meter pool area is the wrestling arena. Since 1966, John has continued his program of excellence in producing citizen athletes for the United States.
We got quite a few kids here tonight for our practice. This is a usual number. We tried not to get over 30 because it makes it too many for the space that we have. However, we are going to enlarge some of the facilities here so we can take on more.
Here are two students who show promise on the mats.
Once I have them here, I'm going to bend this knee down. I'm just going to come right up the top, and that leg falls right in here. At the same time, we're going to keep a lot of pressure up here. We're going to keep this foot trapped in here.
John himself even likes to get in on the action every once in a while to show the students how it's really done. For example, how to get thrown without getting hurt.
Here at Foxcatcher, we're lucky enough to have Mike DeCanlo, captain of the Marple Newtown High School wrestling team. Mike, why don't you tell them something about the program, what you've gotten out of it, and what the other high school kids think of the Foxcatcher program?
Well, John, from the wrestler standpoint of view, it has helped us greatly being able to come up here, 3-4 nights out of the week and helping people, all the wrestlers and getting them ready for the state tournaments and the tournaments following up to the states. It's helped us to keep in shape, and it's done a lot of good things for us. And we would like to thank you for what you've done for us and for the facilities here. Sure.
Villanova University coaches played an important role in the conditioning and Olympic training of John DuPont. In appreciation for that help, John donated generously to the construction of the sports pavilion that bears his name. As with his other projects, John devotes countless hours toward developing a top-rate wrestling team for the university. John is so much the perfectionist that he has taken over the program as head coach. Thousands of people are and will continue to benefit from his generosity to the university. The giving tradition continues here at Crozier Chester Medical Center. Crozier President Jack McMeekin talks with John about his latest gift to the medical center, a new trauma center.
John, we thank you for coming today. One of the things we hope that we might do here in our garden is to talk a little bit about the Crozier Chester Medical Center, and particularly to focus on your involvement with us and your particular interest and support of our new Crozier Chester Medical Center Trauma Center, the John E. DuPont Trauma Center. And maybe we could start by having you share with us some of your history and your involvement with the medical center, and then maybe particularly your interest in trauma.
I started with my interest in the medical center by working with Dr. Mike McClellan and the burn unit, and going on knowing some of the other people, Dr. DeSantis and some of the others. The idea of a trauma unit came along, and it caught my fancy, and it was something that was needed in this particular area. And as time went on and the years progressed, the idea sprouted out. You got your certification, you got your trauma unit.
We have. We thank you for making a lot of that possible. Your comment about need, the board, when we considered whether we should apply for a trauma center designation, recognized that there really was no facility in Delaware or Chester counties at that point in time that could take care of serious trauma. And I guess much like you may remember when we started our burn center about 15 years ago, the board said, well, this is a service that this community deserves. We ought to be providing it, and we'll start it and hope that our fortunes are good and somebody will come along to help us. And of course, as you well know, you have come along at a perfect time. We got that accreditation in December, and since December, under the leadership of your old friend, Dr. DeSantis, Don DeSantis, who is our trauma program director, and Dr. Hartford, we have begun to really earnestly get into the trauma business. We've taken care of a number of trauma cases that may well not have lived were it not for the immediate availability of board-certified trauma surgeons and neurosurgeons and highly skilled nursing personnel who are right here on site in that John E. DuPont Trauma Center when the victim is brought in. And again, I don't know how a community thanks someone like you, but I hope just having your name over that door reminds all of us, including those unfortunate who come through it, that you can't do those things without support from.
It would be my hopes that no one would ever have to go through it.
I know. Well, we're expecting, just on a statistical basis, to probably treat 300 to 400 serious trauma cases this year, and probably over time that'll grow. A lot of trauma is now taken probably to facilities that are not necessarily ready for the patient or as skilled in taking care of their needs. And over time, I think, as our community understands the new resource here at Crozier, more and more serious cases will come here. But unfortunately for the patient, there will be a large demand for your new trauma service. And I think the thing that we find most exciting about it is that a lot of our effort, and as you know, one of the things we want to do is have an annual seminar in your name directed at helping all of us better understand trauma care, and if we can, maybe to avoid some of the trauma that we now see.
Operating an emergency department that treats over 37,000 people per year is no small task. Dr. John Gorey, chairman of the Department of Emergency Medicine, talks about the new facilities available at the John E. DuPont Trauma Center.
Will this be a room?
This is going to be a room, and this is one of the main major treatment rooms in the new area with 12 treatment rooms in it. We can treat a cardiac arrest in this room and do it with a lot more comfort and convenience, safety to the patient than we used to. Now there's room for enough people to get around, room for the equipment that you need, and you can treat a very ordinary patient who doesn't have much wrong with them in a room like this, and they appreciate the privacy, visual and auditory privacy that they have in a place like this, and the nicer surroundings.
Oh yeah, well this is much better than what we had before.
Yeah.
Because when I've been in that here a couple of times, this is ideal.
Yes, what it used to be like was being treated in a locker room almost.
Oh, you're right.
And then the new trauma areas are going to be an improvement over the old ones in terms of space and equipment. We're going to have one more trauma room and should be able to handle any kind of trauma that comes in, and a greater number of traumas, probably than we're ever likely to need to handle at once unless some massive casualty happens nearby. A lot of the modern, sophisticated equipment that we're getting is going to add to our capability too. You've seen an awful lot of changes in that line, and you've started us years ago with that blood pressure monitor. Remember that one?
Yes, I do.
That you gave us? Well, we like them so much, we're now getting several of them.
That's good.
Yeah.
They're handy things.
Yeah, they are.
John, how many emergency cases do you have here in a year?
Well, we see it runs around 38,000 to 40,000 a year.
What percent of those would be trauma patients?
Well, if you take trauma in the overall sense, say a hurt knee, a sprained ankle, and things like that, and cuts and bruises, then it's about 20%. But if you take real serious trauma, when we're talking about trauma, multiple trauma, major trauma, we're talking about 5% or less. And thank goodness for the population that 40,000 of them a year aren't coming in here in danger of immediate death. And a few percent of them are those life-threatening things that you've got to get on top of right away. And that's the challenge in a place like this, to have everything nice enough and quiet enough and kind enough that the regular, ordinary patient appreciates what you're doing for them, and yet efficient enough and cutting enough that when you have the really serious patient, you can jump right on top of it and do whatever you need to do to save life and limb.
Kathy Lehman, clinical coordinator for the emergency department, has been involved in the day-to-day construction of the new John E. DuPont Trauma Center. Out with the old and in with the new. The modernized patient treatment rooms are nearing completion and are being fitted with the most up-to-date technology.
So in all, we are looking for 6 treatment areas here. We're having an ENT, as I stated, a seclusion area, 4 resuscitation areas, and expanding the entire operation by approximately 40%, which the staff in the emergency department is very, very excited about. I certainly am excited about, as I know Dr. Gorey is. And we certainly appreciate Mr. DuPont's generosity in contributing to making this possible.
Because of the DuPont generosity, patients from all over Delaware County will benefit. Coming to us by emergency mobile intensive care units or by trauma helicopter, they will get the best in trauma technology. With this most recent gift to the Crozier-Chester Medical Center, John reaffirms his philosophy and commitment of supporting winners.